There's a lot of stuff going on with the Chicago Bulls, and none of it seems to add up. Their latest report, which is a weird thing to report in the first place, is that Jabari Parker has fallen out of favor and he will no longer be in the rotation. Let's take a look at his production thus far in his one-year deal in Chicago. He's playing 30 minutes a game, 15 points, 7 rebounds, 2.5 assists, shooting 45%. Not terrible numbers. I mean, not all-star numbers. But Amin, why would a player who's going from 30 minutes a game go to out of the rotation overnight like this?
Oh, Jacoby, you poor, sweet, innocent child. You slave of traditional statistics. Jabari Parker has not played well. Maybe he's played well individually. Maybe he's played well by 20 years ago standards where we did not know how to measure how good a player was. But we have all that information now. ESPN released its RPM numbers recently, and in the latest update, Jabari Parker ranked 439 out of 451 players in the NBA.
So there's only 11 players worse in RPM than Jabari Parker?
Yes. And that's a negative 4.17. It is possible. This is one of my favorite things about basketball that seems to elude many people. It is possible to have a very solid individual campaign that is also massively detrimental to team success. Remember, also, Jabari Parker is the same guy who said boldly in an interview in the offseason that defense really doesn't matter in the NBA. Nobody plays defense anyway. I don't blame the Bulls for dropping him from the rotation. I don't think that's a good attitude to have around the team. And I don't want a guy who's out there basically trying to be a hired gun.
Interesting. Do you think he will get another contract after this one in Chicago?
Yes, because people are enamored with points per game. And they'll point to, hey, in 30 minutes a game, I averaged 15, 16. I did everything I was supposed to do. I shot a good percentage. And so teams that are needing offensive oomph are always going to be interested in guys like Jabari Parker.
Well, the Bulls have been in the news for other reasons too. There was a mutiny. They weren't going to show up at practice, and Boylen is saying it's going to be a tough time and that he's just going to be a strong hand. What do you think is happening in Chicago?
I think what's happening is a really heavy-handed attempt at culture change, right? The idea is that Fred Hoiberg was too nice or too player-friendly, and they need a disciplinarian to get everyone in line. Here's the problem, though. This is what the mistake Boylen made, which ironically is the mistake that Fred Hoiberg made when he first became coach of the Bulls. He didn't win over the vets and the leaders of his locker room first before trying to institute culture change, right? He just did this unilaterally, and obviously everyone was like, wait a second, what do you think you're trying to do here? Hoiberg did the same thing. He didn't win over Butler, Joakim Noah, or Taj Gibson, and as a result, his kind of friendly ways did not wash over well with that locker room. Fast forward 5 years later, or however many years ago it was, and now you see Boylen doing the same exact mistake, but in the opposite direction. I'm going to be a taskmaster, but I didn't win over anybody here. And when he brings up Greg Popovich, well, Pop did it. Forget the championships. I hate people who say Pop could do it because he won championships. Pop could do it because he'd been there long enough and he had the trust and the respect of the leaders of his locker room. Boylen didn't have that.